residents of Element City. Air usually has their head in the clouds.
Oh, my new jacket!
Earth can be a little seedy.
Nothing weird going on here.
Just a little pruning.
Water is always getting into something. And fire, as ordered, we run a little hot.
And elements are not supposed to mix, right? But what happens when they do? Let's find out together. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Forever Fangirls podcast. I'm Sheila Amato, and you can find me and my wife on our website at foreverfangirls.com.
And I am Kimberly Amato, and you can also find us on all the socials at Forever Fan Pod.
We are your hosts. Thank you for joining us.
And as you heard from the trailer, we're going to be reviewing the latest Disney Pixar film, Elemental.
Yes, but before we get to that, know that this episode of the Forever Fangirls podcast is sponsored by Kindness Untamed, where you can get a variety of fan art and handmade merchandise inspired by the LGBTQ plus community and sapphic media.
So you can go to the website kindnessuntamed.com and let them know you heard of them through the Forever Fangirls podcast.
Now, our standard spoiler alert is in effect, as we will be talking about specific plot points and themes. So, if you have not seen Elemental yet, you will be spoiled.
I started the music early.
That's okay.
So, yeah.
When this episode drops, we'll be in the middle of summer. Stay hydrated.
Yeah, my wife would always say, if you're going to go outside in the summer, Kimberly, please use sunblock.
And a hat. Always a hat.
You have to always bring in the hat?
Yes, because.
Yeah, but you know,
Do we not remember Hawaii?
I just want to point out that we were in Hawaii, and yes, I forgot I have hats that are, they're water, like they're coolant and they block UV and all that other fun stuff, right? So I forget them. Okay, fine. I put sunblock on my entire body, and I ended up with vicious sunburn, and my feet had tiger stripes from my water shoes.
Yes,
and I had put sunblock on.
That's why.
But I
have to reapply.
I did.
And wear a hat.
My head didn't get burned.
Your nose did.
No.
Yes.
It was one strip right along.
Anyway.
The point is, no matter what happens, Kimmy's going to get a sunburn.
But if you are catching any of the summer blockbusters this season indoors where you don't need sunblock or a hat, let's see if Elemental makes the cut. So before we get to the summary, we wanted to remind you of our giveaways as we get closer to our 100th episode.
Yep, just a reminder, during the month of July, there are giveaways every week. So go to foreverfangirls.com/giveaways to find out what the most up-to-date one is currently and how to enter.
Yes, you have to be subscribed to the podcast in order to be eligible.
And if you want to follow our socials so you can know up to the minute of when the new ones are launching, because remember, in August to November, they'll be every other week. Mm-hmm. So you'll have 2 weeks to enter, and the prizes get better and bigger the closer we get to November.
Yes, but they're all really good.
They're all amazing giveaways, and I'm very thankful for those people who actually donated some stuff too, yes. But that's neither here nor there.
So exciting. Anyway. With that, let us now turn to our discussion of Elemental, starting from the synopsis.
Disney's website lists Disney and Pixar's Elemental is an all-new original feature film set in Element City, where fire, water, land, and air residents live together as Ohana. The story introduces Ember, a tough, quick-witted, and fiery young woman whose friendship with a fun, sappy, go-with-the-flow guy named Wade. Oh, he's water, and Stitch sinks in water. Wade challenges her beliefs about the world they live in. Yeah.
Did you do that voice because we just got back from Hawaii a month ago?
No, but it's Disney, and they did. We're sitting in the area in Oahu in Aulani, and somebody comes up and mentions that they were part of Lilo and Stitch, the live adaptation of the animated film. Yes. And I was like, I kind of wanted to steal them for a minute and just be like, can I borrow like 7 hours of your time? You could tell me all about it.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so back to the movie. The fire elements, Bernie and Cinder, leave their homeland for a better life in Element City. They find that they are shunned as other elements of water, land, and air are afraid of fire because there is one rule in Element City: elements don't mix, Bernie and Cinder settle into the outer borough outside of the city where they open a shop and make a community for other fire elements to gather. Ember, Bernie and Cinder's daughter, is primed to take over the neighborhood store, but she has a short fuse and doesn't quite get along with the customers, which might be a problem. She combusts in the basement, causing a leak, and in flows Wade, a water element who is an inspector for the city. So Wade reluctantly issues citations, but helps her try to get them canceled. Ember and Wade form an unlikely and strong connection that opens up possibilities that Ember didn't even realize was available to her.
Dun, dun, dun. You know when he came out of the pipe? Because when she has her combustible explosion in the basement, I kind of just wanted to go, righteous, righteous.
Oh my goodness.
But anyway.
We're bringing all of the Disney
all
films
the Disney
in.
movies, really.
Disney and Pixar. So anyway, so I did not realize, right, we're talking about the good now. I did not realize that there was a short called Carl's Date.
Oh, I did.
Right before.
I knew.
And
I
okay,
didn't
so you
give
didn't
you a
spoil
warning.
me. You didn't spoil me, which
No.
is fine. But oh my God, it was so heartwarming. It really set the stage, at least for me, for the tone of the movie, because after that short, I was like starting to bawl. They know how to hit you in the feels, as they say.
Yes, they do. I was reading a review that someone said they were tired of the shapeless animation of Pixar.
What?
I was reading a review, and forgive me, I don't remember where it is, and I'm probably never going to find it again. But I actually have to say, it's Pixar. The animation to me is always really on point.
It's incredible.
It is.
I mean, you can see that the coals that they're eating are actual coals. And I don't know about you, but maybe it's just me. I'm like, oh, I can feel the heat coming out from them.
But even when you look at the world building with the bricks, the tempered glass, the water, they seem to get better and more lifelike over time. I still know it's animated. I still know it's an animation of film, but they, to me, never let me down when it comes to the quality of their work.
Yeah. And sometimes I keep going back to this, but sometimes it is so realistic that it's really, when you don't see it in nature, it's like, oh, wait, something's wrong. And the reason why I say that is when Finding Nemo came out, I went scuba diving in the Philippines, and they actually got all of the brilliant colors underneath the water when it's sunny outside. It felt like being in Finding Nemo. That's how good their animation was back then. And so now, to me, it's just, like you said, has gotten better.
Yeah, and technology's gotten better, so they're going to continue getting better. I want to also just parse this a bit. We're not talking about the stories always being stupendous. We're talking about the animation never letting us down.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that is what they're known for, right?
Yeah.
Pixar. So speaking about the story, right? So let's get into the story a little bit. Initially, it's an immigrant story about a couple moving to a strange land for a better life. And then layered on top of that is the coming of age story of their daughter. So I can relate to this story very much, right? My parents immigrated to the U.S. Back in the 80s. And they made a lot of sacrifices. And the one thing that my dad always told me was that they wanted to give us a better education. And that once you have your education, no one can ever take that away from you. They had their own professional careers in the Philippines. They gave that all up to come to the U.S. because they believed that we would have a better opportunity here. And so for me, the only way that I can repay that, because I cannot ever repay that, is to do the very best that I can in my career to show them, yes, your sacrifices did mean a lot.
Well, you were the dream. Like Bernie says to Ember, you were the dream. Your
My brothers
success
and my
your
brother
happiness.
and my sisters are, yes.
Yeah.
We were all.
You children are the dream of your parents.
Yeah. And I actually remember this, where I was struggling in the very early time that I was here in the U.S. I wanted to follow the rules of the homeland. My mom wanted me to be a nurse because she wanted me to have a career right out of college. But I couldn't follow that. And so I totally had, I'm getting a little emotional, sorry, but I totally had that connection with Ember because I had to find my own way. I couldn't run the store. I couldn't become a nurse. I had to do something else. So anyway, that was a good for me.
I couldn't relate to it in that way. For me, I more related to Wade. I was a very like, why not? Why not? Why not? And I found it very amusing that it was a water sign.
Yes.
But
and I have a point about that later. But
I had my family around me. They were supportive and whatnot. And I was very much a why not, a why not, a why not until others put roadblocks in front of me. And then that's how I felt connected to Ember, is when the roadblocks of the citations and everything, the roadblocks of people saying, no, you shouldn't do this. You can't do this. I understood that. And it really, again, like Pixar, punch you in the gut when you want to feel and you want to feel connected to something. I kind of laughed every time Wade cried.
What's funny is that I'm like, oh, Wade is so emotional, just like Kimmy.
I knew that was coming.
But I mean, to bring back to the point that I wanted to make, Elemental, to me, personified all of the different elements of the astrological sign, right? So fire and water, right? I'm a fire sign.
I'm a water sign.
And you're a water sign. Everything in the film really was personifying all of those different astrological signs, like earth and air as well.
When we were dating, everything we read said we should not be together.
And that's my point, right? That was the point that I was getting at, is that fire and water signs are not supposed to mix. But we, as fire and water, overcame the norm, right? Aside from the fact that we're a same-sex couple, our personalities really didn't mesh at the beginning.
No.
But we found a way to figure that out. And just like Wade and Ember in the film, once they were able to hold hands and touch, they were changed at their
molecular level.
Yes. So
I found that to be very romantic, and it did remind me of us.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, the first 3 years of our relationship, we were fire and water.
we
were
not
oil
mix.
and vinegar. Like, we really struggled because it was communication. And I found that Ember and Wade really struggled to talk to one another, to express to one another. He was very romantic and thoughtful and kept trying to show her the world. And she was very much, I need to protect my family and I need to follow it doesn't matter what I want to do. It's about them. And that really was you and I. I was very much Wade. You were very much Ember.
Yep.
And it wasn't until we started communicating and being honest with one another, which they do, in the film. And then when they start opening up and compromising and being honest and seeing the other person for who they are and listening and not just talking, but actually hearing, that's when our relationship really changed.
Yeah, and that is actually a very big theme of this movie.
Yeah.
It is the honesty and communication.
And the hearing, not just listening. Because I know they say that, I listen to you, but do you actually hear what I'm saying? Do you understand at a molecular level what I'm feeling and saying to you? Because if you don't, it's okay.
Yeah, because you're not always going to agree, right? But at least you understand where everybody else is coming from.
Who was the shrub dude?
Oh, Claude?
Claude. I think it was Claude.
Starts with a C. I don't
whatever
quite
his name
remember.
is. He just loved Ember. And granted, later on in the film, he's also, but like he constantly gives her flowers from his armpits, and he's Earth, and she's constantly lighting it on fire, and he just keeps coming back. He's adorable. So they're showing that other elements do mix. There's a reason you can't have the coals and everything unless you have fire compressing it down.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great things here.
Right. Or in the store where Wade was being the quote unquote food inspector, right? And he said, well, these coals might be hot, but
when you water them down, they taste great.
Right. And so it's like, it tempers it a little bit so that it is something that's different and that can work for both sides. That is the other biggest theme that I took away from this movie, is that segregation doesn't work. We have to be integrated. It's what makes us better. It's what makes us stronger. It makes us richer. Our differences is what allows us to keep each other growing and learning new things, right? We have to be integrated in order to do that, because your experiences might not be the same as mine, but we can learn from each other.
You make an amazing point, because at the end of the day, when you sit in your little bubble, if you don't get outside experiences or
you don't grow.
You not only don't grow, but you also lose out on a lot. Like that, we talked about Indiana Jones previously, and the idea is the journey is what's important, and the journey is richer when your experiences are richer, and your experiences are richer when you actually leave your bubble and try and see,
right?
What's going on.
To digress a little bit, we had a lot of experiences in Hawaii.
Yes.
We did swim with the manta rays, and that was incredible.
We did snorkel with sharks.
Yes. The biggest thing for me that we experienced together that was very challenging was hiking up 1,000 feet to see the volcano.
Well, it wasn't to see the volcano. It was to see the hidden craters and the extinct lava tubes.
Yeah, well, it is an extinct volcano for all intents and purposes, right?
But I'm saying there was one erupting. I don't want anybody to think we were doing that
we
one.
weren't there. We were on the west
opposite side.
We were on the west side, not the east side. So that to me was very hard. We weren't prepared for the hike. I thought it was a simple, easy hike, and it wasn't. But I am glad that we went through it because not only did we get to the crater, right, and hike the perimeter of it, we met great people during the hike, and then we went through a lava tube where I think we had the most incredible pictures. And we would not have experienced that if we didn't go out of our comfort zone.
Not only that, we got into the water with sharks, which we've done before.
Yeah, but this was...
But this was open ocean.
Yeah.
It was kind of wild, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
There was massive waves. I hit my head on the cage a lot.
And we saw a complete double rainbow.
Yeah.
Because it was raining out in the waters, and lo and behold, it's like Wade was there.
Yeah. But it was just, the idea is we pushed.
Yeah.
And we went out of our comfort zone and we did things that we have never done before. And then on top of everything else, no matter where we went, I could hold your hand. There were no snide remarks. It was like I was in a utopia of places where not only were you encouraged to try your best and go out of your comfort zone, it was also encouraged that if you couldn't, if you reached your max, it was 100% emphatically okay.
Yeah. And they
No
would
worries.
figure out how to get you to meet back with the group later.
Yeah, and to
all that.
have an amazing experience where you are.
Yeah.
Doing what you could do. I had not experienced that before. And that's what I feel Elemental sort of did. It gave you this feeling like you need to see what's outside your door, so to speak. But you also need to realize that it's going to change you. And there's going to be some people that don't accept you. But there can be and will be people who do. I mean, Wade's family,
Oh, that was great.
they accepted her instantaneously.
Yeah.
But there were other water signs that didn't.
Right.
That's okay.
Right. And this story has, let's face it, this story has been told different ways by different movies and all of that.
Over and over and over again.
Pixar, though, has a way of, at least for me, and maybe it's because we love Disney, it just puts it in a way that just makes it that much more relatable.
And I agree. It could be that we are, Disney adults and all that. But I do agree with you 100%. Pixar has a way of bringing the emotion into it that sometimes seems to be lacking or in your face too much with other ones.
Yeah.
I felt this one hit the nail on the head and did it in a way. There were kids in theaters giggling and laughing. It might have been over their heads, but there are multi-level meanings here that kids can get, that adults can get,
Absolutely.
that everybody in between can get. And that's what Pixar does. And that's where I'm at a loss for why it's not doing well on the critic side when I also see that it's doing higher on the audience side. So maybe we're just not being critical enough. Maybe it's because our experiences have led us to relate to this more.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know for me, I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah. And we should mention that in the box office, it's also not making as much as the previous films. But I think the streaming service, has an effect on it because everybody now is like, oh, I can see
Wait a
it at
few months.
Disney Plus anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you can judge it now by the box office numbers.
I think it needs to be pre-COVID, post-COVID. Because
Yeah.
the way that streaming has changed, and maybe this is a conversation for another day, but the way streaming has changed things, I think there's no way to compare the box office before COVID to now.
Right.
Even with inflation and all that other stuff, even, people like, but Avatar did this, but there's only a specific style of movie that's really making money anymore.
Right.
And if they don't make money, they're making it back on streaming.
Yeah. Or they're making it back worldwide. So.
Yeah. So I look at this and I'm like, okay, if you're a person who's looking at a family of 5, right? $20 per person, not including snacks, not including gas to get there and everything else. Why not just wait 2 months?
Right. And you're in the comfort of your own home, so you can pause it if you need to and all of that good stuff. But I just had to mention that because I've seen in some places where they were saying it's a flop because it wasn't making X amount of money.
Like I said, I really think society and all of these numerical values need to change and start taking post-COVID as a completely different entity. Because if we did not have COVID, we would still have movie theaters doing what they did before.
Yeah,
but we don't.
Yeah. Are we good with the good?
Yes, we're good with the good. Should we go right into the bad?
Sure.
Things in this movie kind of defy physics and logic.
Yes.
I know it's in the realm of disbelief. I get it. But folks, water, it boils. It disintegrates into gas.
Not disintegrates, but evaporates.
Evaporates,
yes.
Thank you. That's the word. But it goes into gas and it goes bye-bye. So when they're touching hands and he starts to boil, I'm like, really? Shouldn't she be? I mean, literally, there are scenes where the water hits her and like half her face disappears and she's got to eat some wood or something. First off, she's eating wood. So who's she eating?
Okay, not going to go there.
Exactly. Did something like, was it grandpa or something?
Not going to go there.
So, I mean, there's little things like that for me that my brain, again, I write and
defies
read.
the laws of physics. Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
I actually was thinking about the fact that she was not burning any like seats or
how she could use like a motorcycle and it wasn't exploding.
Yeah, or when she visits Wade's mom's place and doesn't burn through the rug into the floaty device.
She doesn't burn through her clothes.
Yeah, so I
like
understand.
his clothes aren't wet.
I understand.
And soaked and like being absorbed into him, or he's being absorbed into the clothing like he was the sponge.
I know.
There's
suspension of disbelief.
Little things like that. I was like,
Yeah. And I guess that's because the movie really isn't dealing with like toys or cars or, fish like in Finding Nemo. It's not the same core personification that Pixar usually does.
Well,
right?
But you had Inside Out. You had Soul. Oh, but you know what? They did have a blend of human.
Yes, they did.
So this is the first you're saying that was amorphous almost.
It's totally without the human physicality.
Huh.
Right?
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. That's why I said it is personifying all of the elements of the astrological signs. It's fire, water, earth, and
No, I followed
air.
you there, but I didn't make the connection of the human anatomy type thing being I didn't connect those two. That's an excellent point.
Yeah. So again, be that as it may, it wasn't a bad film.
No.
The story is just so adorable.
The story is gut-wrenching and heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. But I think is that it for our bad? I mean, that's a really small amount of bad right
Yeah,
there.
I think so.
So here's some cute. And I said this to you, and I mentioned it earlier. Wade and the family crying all the time, just...
I know. It's like every time they did that, I was seeing Kimmy. Kimmy just waterworks all over the place.
I'm in touch with my emotions.
Yes, you are. Let's see. Cinder and the doorman squaring off.
Oh, they were so
huge.
exhausted.
I know.
At the end, and she's like, I need to rest.
But they're equally matched is what I was like. Teeny tiny older flame, big old, was he air?
He was water.
Oh, he was water. Like,
but you know what? Again, that was a great scene of just because you think you're better doesn't mean you are. Just because fire might be, fire, they can't beat water. And water always can't douse out a flame if the flame is overwhelming. Everybody is evenly matched.
Right. Because everybody brings in something.
Exactly. Everybody has something that makes them stronger than you. You're not a perfect human being. You have flaws. So that's an excellent little snippet that was adorable, but it also was very powerful in its statement.
Yeah. I like the fact that another cute for me, Wade was taking Ember to see the flower that handles all of the elements. I don't remember the flower.
Neither do I.
It started with a V.
I thought it started with a T.
Started with a V.
Started with a V?
Yes. Because they showed the word and I'm like, oh, it's a VV something. I don't remember it.
A Vivi.
That's.
It's a Vivi.
But the fact that, you were mentioning that Wade is such a romantic, he remembered that because he is a water sign and he asked his boss to create this
Gale.
air. Yes, Gale. This air
bubble pocket
thing, right? So that Ember can go and see the flower. And she saw the tree, not just the flower, the whole tree.
And then at the end, the air is like losing The bubble is
the 20
losing-
minutes is up.
Yeah, and so water is starting to leak in, and so Wade starts freaking out. And at the end, when they find an exit and they pop out of the flooded area, and it reminded me so much of You and I, because Ember is screaming and rolling on the floor. Oh my God, I got to see the flower and I got to see the whole tree and blah, 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 blah. And did you see that? And then Wade's going, oh my God, I shouldn't have brought you. I almost killed you. You almost went out. I was so horrible. It was just so You and I. Because you're sitting there going, I went on this great adventure, and I'm sitting there going, I almost fell through the lava tube. My leg went up to my knee. Oh my God, what would have happened if we fell? I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have. It's definitely You and I.
Yeah. Again, they nailed the personalities of the different elements.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Oh, Ember creating the glass bubble with the flower
In it, and then anything she created with glass and tempered glass. No less.
Yes, it was just beautiful, and that is what she wanted to do. She was good at it. She didn't realize that she could make a career out of it.
What also symbolically for me, the wall that blocked the water was made of tempered glass. When did it start to break?
When they were arguing.
When they were arguing, when they started to fall apart, when she started to stop living her life and started living someone else's.
Yeah.
Everything started to break because she wasn't being her true self.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great and a cute little symbol there. Is you are who you are. You are very strong. You can do this. But there are cracks. And every now and again, you need somebody to remind you and help you along the way.
Yep. You always have someone there to catch you. Mm-hmm. And of course, the last little cute thing that I'm going to mention.
What's that?
Is that Wade is not able to handle hot food.
You can't either.
Just like Gimme.
You can't either.
Like when he ate the hot coals, I'm like, oh, that was Kimmy. And all of that
when he
bubble.
like bubbles out of his head and it just starts screaming.
Yeah, that's you.
That was most definitely me. But again, why didn't that bubble, which was coated in water, when it hits Bernie, why doesn't part of Bernie go out?
Because it was a tiny bit.
Should have at least singed.
Anyway.
There was a lot of little things that just kind of bothered me.
It's all good.
And of course, Wade had to disappear at the end because it was too hot in there. And he's like, it's okay. I got to help you.
He evaporated. But then she helped him come back because she was summoning all of these nice
She made
memories.
him cry. So he cried out of the wall. Let's literally just... She made him cry. And the funny thing is, I looked at Sheila, and when he heard the tear jerking, I'm like, oh God, she's going to make him cry. And then he's going to come out of the brick.
Uh-huh.
That's exactly what happened. I was like, son of a... That is so what... Damn it.
Yep. They nailed you. They did.
Wah.
Anyway, any other points that we should discuss?
I'm sure there's other points, but my brain is just not there because I'm focused on the fact that, they got Wade way too accurately.
Okay, then. So that is our discussion of Elemental. Now it's time for our Forever Fangirls rating. Drum roll, please. We rate Elemental 4.5 stars. Yay! And we agree on this rating.
Look, there are some elements in here that kind of felt off, like fire does make water evaporate, so touching fire for a long period of time is, well, we've already had that conversation. My point of this is none of it matters. For me, the film is about chances and taking risks to live life to the fullest while the flame is lit. Mm-hmm. We can hide in the comfort of things around us, and maybe that makes us happy, but if we have a spark to be elsewhere, we need to ride the wave of hopes and dreams. Maybe your head's in the clouds, but maybe, just maybe, you've planted a seed to make your dream a reality. So just never give up. Never allow people to keep you from living your truth, and keep fighting for the dreams you have. Division, it isn't helpful. It's detrimental,
Yes, and I agree. Although I love the little cute thingies that you put in there.
Well, I was just keeping the little flame lit.
Anyway, as I alluded to earlier, this film absolutely hit me in all of the feels. I was actually channeling Wade there because I was bawling like a baby and I didn't even have any tissues with me. Anyway, the scene that really got to me was when Ember gave the bow to her father, the highest form of respect, and her father returned it. See, I'm getting teary-eyed again. It's also a wonderful story of following your heart, of being with the one that you love, despite what others may think. It's your life, it's not theirs. And diehard fans, as we already spoke about earlier, may not think that this is the best Pixar movie, but I think it's the exact type of stories that sets Pixar apart.
I agree 100% with that. I think the emotional side of what they bring to the table with their animation really does set them apart from everything else out there.
Yep.
Except Lilo and Stitch.
Of course, except Lilo and Stitch.
Just, I have to say that. But that is going to be our show for today, folks. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thanks to our sponsor, Kindness Untamed. We hope you enjoyed our discussion. If you'd like to share what you think or send us a message, feel free at foreverfangirlspodcast@gmail.com or any of our socials. And as always, reviews are truly greatly appreciated. Podchaser.com is a great place to do that if you have a moment.
And until next time, stay safe, be kind, and remember, sometimes you need a different perspective to help you find that inner spark. Once you find it, embrace it and follow where it may lead, because you never know how long the ride will last.